Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this video we're going to talk about a market that, despite all the melee in names like GameStop and AMC and the short squeeze and Wall Street bets and the sell-off and the broader indices and a lot of broken trends, there is one name that, despite all that, has risen to the really forefront of the conversation. That is silver. Now, silver is an interesting market because it doesn't have to be a futures trade. It can also be executed by SLV. But here's the thing, it's a wild market that's not in a trend, but because of the move it's made, and a few, pretty well-known players who have been discussing the likelihood of higher highs in silver, it's right back in play conversationally. But is it in play technically? Is it in play for a setup? So let's talk about the levels and where we are and what we need to do to get specifically long silver. All right, so here's what I'm going to be watching. Let's first discuss the fact that this is in a choppy range. Okay, so this is a range bound. This is the top of the range. This is the bottom of the range. And I will use these Darvis levels, this Darvis zone here to the top side and this Darvis zone down here with a volume profile value area low to the bottom. All right, what we now have done then is we've gotten to the top of the range, and this is then within chop overbought. Now, it's not as if silver hasn't been able to move back lower, and I do anticipate it could. So let's zoom in a little bit more and get a good look at this range. We have driven higher now into this area, and I would suspect we'll at least stall or maybe head lower. If we can head lower to this level here, that would be an aggro level to get long. This level here would be fairly moderate, and then anything then in about this area here would be a nice conservative level. And that's what I'd prefer. I'd prefer that our buy actually happen down in this area, okay? But I think that what we also have to realize is we could see a momentum breakout. I don't think that's going to happen, although, we need to be ready for that. And what would that look like? Well, that would take out this previous high here, and I would still look for what a retracement to the downside would look like to engage silver, because the bearish momentum will allow us to scoop up calls in the SLV, which is even though I'm talking about the futures market, I would use the ETF to get long, and I would look at calls in SLV, and I would minimally go out to the 19th of March, but I'm pretty okay looking even out into April 16 expiration on SLV. But just keep in mind, let's wait for the setup, because if we like silver up here, that means we should equally like it down in here, and this is where we have bounced from, and this is in the futures room. We've talked about this being the oversold level once we had the break through here. That's what changed the game from what was a pretty decent little uptrend to now a choppy market with a bullish bias. Hope that helps decode silver. Very interested. Let's keep an eye on it going into February.